Welcome to Scoop News Group's series on the new business of government. I'm Wyatt Cash, and we're here today with Victor Gavin. Victor is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Command, Control, Communications, Computers, Intelligence, Information Operations, and Space. That's a lot to be in charge of.
Long title.
Yeah, well, welcome to the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We want to talk a little bit about data today. And my first question is, we know agencies, and I'm sure the Department of Navy has just more data than ever before. And so I'm just kind of curious, how easy or hard is it for the decision makers to get to the data that they need and to make sense of it?
Yeah, Wyatt, I appreciate being here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'll tell you in short, it is hard today. It really is. And it starts there. There are four elements of making this successful. One is locating the data. Where does your data exist? And inside of our department, there's over 100 data centers that are out there. So our data is widely distributed. The second part, so as a result, we have concerted efforts to consolidate that data and that information. The second part, and the equal part, is having a data strategy. The strategy around how to characterize and consolidate that data into different appropriate sections. Third are the tools necessary to actually analyze and do the analytics. And fourth, and equally important part of that, is the education. Educating not only the data analysts, but the users on not just what the data is, but what questions we should ask of that data to get better effects and better outcomes.
Well, speaking of the user part of the equation, what are some of the challenges that you're facing, with giving the data that the decision makers actually need to do things like planning, budgeting, and work on other mission services?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the unique challenges that government, federal government has, starts with the budgeting side. I must say, while I certainly do appreciate the work that the Congress and the folks on the Hill do for us, we have been without a proper appropriations bill at the beginning of the year for almost the last decade. And that instability in what the budget is has a dramatic effect on our ability to plan, to execute, and to deliver those effects that we're scheduled to do. So that has a tremendous effect on us. The other things that are having an effect are the change in technology. Again, we are in a situation where a lot of the technologies that we are employing is driven by the commercial industry today.
Right.
And our ability to stay knowledgeable, to keep knowledgeable of that technology, to keep knowledgeable of the business practices, the way that technology is delivered, it becomes challenging to us and requires us to review not only our products, but our processes by which we want to engage into those areas.
Appreciate that. And we certainly hear a lot of that among all the agencies of the appropriations challenge in these uncertain windows, and it makes it hard to make rational business decisions, I know. Let me talk a little bit about data-driven decisions. It's a word we hear a lot about, but can you talk about how you're helping managers make more data-driven decisions around mission readiness or program services?
Sure. There are a couple ways. From a mission readiness standpoint, I think from what our department is doing is trying to make use of the current technologies and current processes by which to do this. I'll start on the acquisition side. Our program managers are challenged in each of their programs to develop what we call a should cost estimate for their programs. You have your original estimate, and then we challenge you to say, hey, given the direction of industry over the course of your development and sustainment cycle, what changes would you make, as opposed to relying solely on your initial estimates going into this, and to continually update your processes, your budgets, your estimates, and in some ways, your requirements to adjust based on the direction of technology, the direction of the customer, those mission-driven inputs. We've also stood up on the acquisition side a couple of other rapid acquisition opportunities. Our rapid prototyping experimental demonstration program is a way for us to, our RPED, is a way for us to very quickly outside of the acquisition process get capability in the hands of our users, commercial capability in the hands of our users much quicker. So it's those areas that we're really trying to put a concerted effort into inside and outside of our formal acquisition process.
Well, and lastly, and just kind of to build on that, we tend to think about this volume of data needing data analysts and even data scientists to sort of make sense of a lot of unstructured data and everything else is coming in. But we know that it's really valuable only if it gets in the hands of decision makers. Tell us a little bit more of how you're helping making sure that the rank and file managers can get access to this data and be able to analyze it on their own terms.
No, absolutely. Our leadership is keenly aware of the power associated with turning this information into data. Our Chief of Naval Operations, CNO, has stood up a digital warfare office specifically focused on trying to get to that endpoint. The ability of taking those stovepiped information silos that we have, aggregating that data together, and coming out with better kinetic and non-kinetic effects across of our department. As you can imagine, in the Navy, there are two elements of that. There's a shore element that most are used to, and our shore element is driven more by our cloud strategy and our desire to get more and more involved with our commercial partners out there in using those cloud technologies, those cloud business models to analyze our data and to perform those effects in our shore-based systems. But the Navy also has a unique challenge in our afloat platforms. And it's limited by our bandwidth restrictions.
Yes.
So as a result, we're happy to see that the commercial industry is beginning to address, bring those capabilities into that bandwidth restricted area. So, our plan is to continue to leverage that, and in our own ways, how to get that data into those environments and create better kinetic effects as well.
Well, Victor, I really appreciate you stopping by, sharing some of the things that the Department of Navy is working on, and your efforts in particular to try to make sure that data is more valuable. So thanks so much.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
that. You can read and look for more of our content on the new business of government and data on our website. I'm Wyatt Cash. Thanks for watching.